Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Bob the Booker, currently suffering with a combination of sort of terrible hair as always, but this time caused a little bit more by just generally being far too hot for, I crumble in any temperature above about 15 degrees and also to sort of coming to you live from a source of mild burnout, so everything is wonderful. But on that note, I just wanted to do a quick little tag that I was tagged in by AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. And that was originally created by Kate Luna, which is called an Ex-Lurker Tag. Now, I really wanted to do this partly because, partly because I was tagged, but also because the word lurk is just incredibly satisfying to say. A very underused word, unless you sort of have, for example, RuPaul's Drag Race and the word look being turned into the word lurk. That's a slightly different usage, and something I also wrote about in my dissertation for my master's. So there we go, academic joy and nonsense coming at you today. Anyway, so this tag is all about kind of commenting and people kind of being in the comments. Now, this is incredibly relevant to me, as we'll come to talk about, because I think that is how many people who make videos on BookTube sort of came to it in the first place. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So the first question, the first prompt, is what had been stopping or is stopping you from leaving comments or starting a BookTube channel? So what had been stopping me, I think for a while, is just partly as well, I had a really weird username, I think, for a while. I think it genuinely was Rob Likes Kate Bush for like 15 years, and then hadn't really twigged that could change. I mean, I still like Kate Bush. I mean, in fact, I love her, and we'll be making a video on her shortly. But I don't think I'd kind of twigged that, like, that's quite a weird one to like appear under like every video or like every comment. Particularly, I don't know. So, and also I go by Bob more than I do Rob. So anyway, times have changed, wonderful things. But then, so I didn't really comment for a while, partly because I felt like it was a bit, I was really nervous about kind of either coming across like, oh, hi, yes, I know loads about this topic, when I didn't, and I was very aware that I didn't want to sort of just suddenly jump in and pretend I knew loads. I also didn't want to like randomly post things that were just sort of really vague, but that is all my own sort of silliness, because I realise ultimately it's just a nice thing. I like leaving comments. I don't watch nearly as many videos as I probably should of other booktubers. I can get kind of caught in my own little rut with it. It's quite a weird thing actually, because it is the whole thing of like both making videos and doing loads of reading can also mean that you don't have that much time to watch other people on BookTube. So I'm really trying to change that, because I know that there are tons of really exciting creators out there and around this magical mystical place called BookTube, and I do want to check out more, and also just actually see the lovely videos from people I do follow as well. So all good. And so that was what was stopping me for a while, is that kind of nervousness about it. But by all means, it's been lovely. There are a good number of you in the comments who just kind of are here regularly and kind of comment regularly, and it's really lovely to see some of the same faces or same names, if faces aren't always attached, to it. It's always really lovely to hear those kinds of things. And the second prompt, you've already left a bunch or a million comments under BookTubers videos. True. Do you remember the very first comments you left? Did you get any reply? I'm fairly sure my first comments were either on Eric Carl Anderson, his videos over at Lonesome Reader, or over at What Camel Reads. I think it was Eric. And I think for both of them I did get replies, and it was really lovely. Particularly, I think the thing that I really love about comments with this, and sort of something I kind of really appreciate with BookTube versus perhaps other communities, not to slam other communities or whatever, is just that books naturally encourage conversation, and there's that kind of really beautiful thing. I think Daniel over at Guilty Feet said this really well once, which is that he sees, for example, him creating a video, for him, he sees that as being the first step towards a conversation, as opposed to this is the only kind of definitive thing for it. And I mean, I don't think anyone's going around being like, my opinions are the only ones that exist. But I think that's a really nice way of framing it, actually, to think about how, so I'm just realizing how pink I am. The joys of looking at yourself in a camera while taking this. And yeah, so what Daniel was saying that I thought was really powerful was about how actually he really loves creating a video and then the comments being essentially a second video almost. The comments completely kind of expand and take forward what was in the video, and take it to a place that it wasn't at before. I've gained so many recommendations from that, from comments, and it's always really lovely to chat to people as well, and some really interesting kind of moments that come up as well as a result of it. The next prompt number 3, is pick a book which you've read because of the booktuber's review. It has to stand out, be one that you either loved or hated with a passion. Now, I might slightly cheat with this, just because my brain is really kind of short-circuiting on parts of this. So I will sort of say one book that does actually hit the prompt, and then a few others that I really want to talk about that I think are kind of adjacent to it, because I've not read them yet, kind of know I'm going to love them, but have largely really been influenced by the fact that booktubers have sort of spoken about it. So firstly, I have not got a copy here, but Ducks Newburyport by Lucy Ellmann is a book that I was basically going to come around to anyhow, because it's on a booker shortlist, and also I'm just kind of really curious about books like that, and I always talk about this book, but also I think the sheer fact that when I was about to kind of gear up to read it, and I was sort of, oh, should I do this, should I not, Eric Carl Anderson over at Lonesome Reader spoke about it a lot, and that kind of really sort of encouraged me to kind of carry on with it, and then I absolutely fell in love with it, and then for the prompts that I'm going to use to slightly cheat, if I can do that, these are books that I've not yet read, but again have sort of loads of people have sort of fallen so much in love with them that I kind of feel that I'm just going to kind of keep checking them out as a result. So the first is Mrs. Engels by Gavin McCrea, which, again, Eric Carl Anderson over at Lonesome Reader mentions quite a lot. This sounds like I'm sort of being sponsored by him, or sort of this is dedicated to him. But yes, he speaks a lot about this book with absolute love, and I think Gavin McCrea has just released another book that Eric was talking about as well. So this is a book that I'm really eager to check out because of BookTube. And again, a book that I completely hadn't heard of, and I think would have largely gone over my head, or I would have sort of not heard about at all. There's also Minor Detail, which many other booktubers have spoken about as well, including Camel over at What Camel Reads, and Overly Average Ben did a video about this recently, which has really sort of turned up the pressure for me to actually check it out. I think this was because it was longlisted for the International Booker Prize this year, and so part of me was really gearing up to read it, thinking it was going to be on the shortlist because everyone loved it so much. It didn't, and I think as a result, I was kind of like, oh, should I still check it out? You know, I've got loads of other bits that I'm reading, all these kind of other projects of reading on the go. Should I not? And I think what kind of tipped me over the edge for buying it and then hopefully reading it fairly soon was how many people have spoken about it and absolutely adored it. And that's been really, really nice. And then finally, one other one that I've kind of bought recently. I say that I don't often buy this many books. It's just kind of really happened this way. I mean, Mrs. Engels was me borrowing it from a friend, but I think I got a bit trigger happy because I was like, I'm spending no money on going out because of lockdown. Let's spend it all on books. And that was maybe not the wisest move, but it makes me happy. And this is Panenka by Ronan Hession. So this book I first heard of by somebody in my comments, when I was talking about Booker Prize longlist predictions for this year, and they mentioned it, and I had never heard of this and thought it sounded absolutely fascinating when I looked into it, and it's sort of such an odd one out there. Then I saw a video recently by the Bob Sphere, which is not my channel. It sounds like he definitely got the better Bob name, I think, than Bob the Booker. he definitely did the right one there. But yeah, he also spoke about this and sort of spoke about how much he loved it. And I just happened to see it in a shop a couple of weeks ago and just thought, no, this has to happen. And then just after I bought it, I saw the Bob Sphere's video and was like, okay, this was the right decision. But yeah, this is a book that I've only essentially heard of or kind of checked out because of comments. So please keep suggesting books in the comments. I mean, this may bankrupt me / lead to the library having a sort of, putting out a call on me to stop taking everything. But I really do appreciate it because I, particularly, in the last year or so, have become very, very, tunnel vision focused with, and sort of very blinkered in sort of looking at the Booker Prize. So it's always really encouraging to hear about other books that exist because, strangely enough, there are more books out there than the 13 books that get longlisted for the Booker every year. Who would have thought it? I know. What kind of world is this? Anyway, and then finally, the last... Oh, no, not even the last prompt. There are two more. So the prompt, the fourth prompt, tell us a bit about the book you're currently reading. Is it any good? Could you read a passage from it which you loved or found ridiculous? Now, there are a couple of audiobooks that I've got on the go and can't really play those, not only for copyright reasons, but also because I feel like that's not the most exciting video for you. But the book that I am actually reading physically is, at the moment, is John Rhys's Wide Sargasso Sea, which I read years ago and haven't touched for a while, but I just finished reading Jane Eyre and thought I may as well reread this with that in mind. The problem being, I haven't started it yet. I was planning on starting it this morning and then slept in and then just started work. So that's not happened, but that is the plan, to kind of come around to this. The other book that I've kind of, there we go, trying to do that without looking. The only other book I've got on the go at the moment is A Book of Dreams by Peter Reich, who is the son of Wilhelm Reich, who was a man wanted by the FBI and sort of seen as quite suspicious because he kept on kind of creating all these fantastical things. And I can try and find something quite interesting from here. It's written in a really childish style, which is really quite lovely. So, for example, Mummy used it when she burned her hand. This is a kind of accumulator, like a little tool that one of them's created. Mummy used it when she burned her hand and it healed much faster than usual. The one Daddy uses has a light in it so you can read, and there is one with a board in it for your chest too. I like it because it makes you tingly and warm, and that is when it is time to come out, like when I cut my finger with a BB gun. Daddy put the shooter on it and said, wait until it starts to tingle and then take it off. The tingling meant it was alive and moving. So the whole book is written in this kind of very childlike thing from about the third through it that I am. This was also, again, with the reference to Kate Bush, this is going to come up very soon in the book, in the video about Kate Bush, because this book was the inspiration behind the song Cloud Busting. By Kate Bush. So anyway, so yes, that is those are the two books I've kind of got on the go in terms of physical reading, and then the others are audiobooks, so would be a bit more difficult to do for this way. And then finally, do you keep a reading journal? Not in a well, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of Goodreads, which I'm sort of trying to wean myself off of because, you know, Amazon. But I mean, like Storygraph is there, and I kind of want to go back to it. I kind of created an account and then forgot about it, so I need to go back to that. But for a while, I did used to sort of physically write them down, and there was something quite nice about discovering an old piece of paper with the books you read in the year, particularly when you think that it's been far longer, or there's a book that you've entirely forgotten about, as is often the case, and you look back and you think, what is that? When did I read that book? And that's kind of the case for quite a few of the odd ones. So I don't as such, but I also have a wall in my room. Most rooms have walls, but the room in my the wall in my bedroom has all of the Booker shortlists, like by year, and then kind of like a little system of like kind of colouring in boxes when I've finished them. So that's also kind of a reading journal for the Booker Prize, which I often forget to fill in, and then it's very satisfying to like colour in a whole thing all at once and feel like I've gone back to primary school. Just be like, yay, do I get a star? I don't know, what happens when you complete all the Booker Prize, you know, when I complete all of the Booker Prize shortlists? Do I get anything? Is there anything out there? Do I get any sense of achievement? Who knows? We shall see. But yeah, that's all that. And in terms of then this wonderful tag and kind of tagging other people, I'm appalling at tagging other people. But anyone out there who would love to do this, and particularly as this is both for booktubers themselves and for people who don't create videos, which is also fine. Please, you know, save yourself. Get out while it's still time. You know, by all means, I'd love to hear some of your responses, whether in the comments or which is very appropriate for this tag, or, you know, if you kind of do things on Bookstagram or what have you. I'd love to hear all of those. Please do go and help yourselves. Consider yourselves all tagged if you so wish. Anyway, I've been Bob the Booker. I've been rambling and sweating at you for about 15 minutes now, so I should probably stop. Have a wonderful day. Keep lurking. In an internet sense, please don't lurk in the real world in a way that would be considered harassment. That's not cool. And have a great time. I hope you're doing really well. I hope that you're not melting in the summer as I clearly am. And thank you all so much for commenting and for being part of these videos in your own way. Thank you and take care. Bye bye.